Hello and welcome to another edition of Here's the Pitch, sponsored by Massa's Restaurants in St. Louis. 5 locations. STLMassas.com is their website. Find all the locations. They're open. They're serving up meatballs and beef pepes, my favorite. Big Al specials. But this is exciting today because I'm going to talk with Scott Spiezio, the Cardinal legend from the 2006 World Series. You can see him. You can hear him. I'm excited to see you. No red chin, as Cardinal fans always want to talk about. But Scott, good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm live from my parents' furniture store in Morris, Illinois.
And the name of that store is, so if people want to buy some furniture, what kind of deals they got these days?
Spiezio's Furniture. They're actually getting ready to retire. It's the business they started in '72 when I was born. And they're getting close to closing now. So there's a lot of really good deals if you come in now.
So wait, is Ed in there doing like, hey, come get a couch and a free pillow or something like that?
Not yet, but maybe in a little bit.
So it's good to see you, and we did one of these I don't remember how long ago, but the audio wasn't great, and I put it out there, and people were like, I can't hear him, and then so you even said, let's do another one. So I said, let's get Scott back on here. So I'm glad now we can actually see you, we can talk to you. This is even better. You sound great, and I keep telling you, you look great. I don't know why I keep saying that, but I say that all the time.
Well, thanks. You too, and I feel really good. I wish I could lose about another 40 pounds, then I'd feel really good.
Yeah, COVID hasn't helped me. I'm not doing any workouts. I'm just sitting here eating a lot of Hot Pockets.
Right.
What are you? So
the good thing is I have a weight room that I used when I was playing, and my oldest son Tyler is a football player at Williams College, and so he's been off. Their season got canceled. He's going to take the semester off, so he has 2 more years of eligibility. So I got a lifting partner, so I've been lifting. I'm strong. I just like to eat after too much.
That's always my problem. It sounds stupid, but the more I actually do physical activity like run or whatever, I come home and I just eat like 5,000 calories because I'm just insatiable. So I know that we're going to talk about what you're doing now with you're managing a baseball team. But before that, how was COVID for you? Just kind of were you stuck inside the house? You got a lot of property where you're up in kind of near Joliet, Dwight, Morris. So if you're driving up 55 from St. Louis on your way to Chicago, you know these. I think it's exit 220. I'm fairly certain I've had to stop in Dwight. Wow. Yeah, I've made this. I'm calculating in my head, where do I need to get gas before I hit the traffic of Chicago? Yeah. So how did you handle COVID and up there? Did you get a chance to get out and play around a little bit because you have some land, or did you stay in?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad for me. I've got 46 acres with a creek and, trees, and I got my weight room and batting cage and the basketball court. So I was able to do a lot of stuff, and it was kind of cool for me because my 3 oldest kids came over a lot and still do. We have a lot of fun doing whatever. I mean, we even kayaked my creek behind me to the golf course, which is, it's about a 5-minute drive, but it took 2 hours to kayak it because of the creek winding and stuff. But it's been not too bad for me. My parents' store had to close for a long time, but they're back open now. It's changed a lot of things around me, but for me, it hasn't. But we're talking about the managing thing. Do you want me to talk about that a little bit?
Let's hear about manager Scott Spiezio. I also looked this up. Glenn Allen Hill's up there with you too. I mean, there's some powerful people, power hitters. Well, he's the power hitter. You were more of a doubles guy, but yeah, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing, because there's a baseball organization up there that you're managing a team.
Yeah, so Glenn Allen Hill had like 180 something home runs. I had 120. So between us, we have 300. That's what I like to say.
I would say his went probably 5,000 feet further than yours, though. I think he hit one over the one at Wrigley. This is the one everyone remembers.
Yeah, he hit it on the 5-story building, on the roof of the 5-story building across, and they keep playing it. And they keep playing the one that I hit in Game 2. It wasn't a home run. It was a triple in Game 2 against the Mets in 2006. So, and then my Game 6 home run was in the first row, and the Angels used to call me first row Spiezio. So I I always tell them it's a waste of energy hitting them that far. That's what I tell Glenn Allen now. But yeah, so baseball, all the minor league teams got canceled. The seasons, independent baseball got canceled. So we have an independent team at Joliet called the Joliet Slammers. And my whole family has been, from Joliet. And now we live in Morris, Illinois, which isn't too far away. But it was kind of neat that they called me up because they decided they were going to have a 4-team league managed by all former major league players. Glenn Allen Hill is coaching his son, Glenn Allen Hill Jr., who's drafted, I think, by the Diamondbacks last year. And then Billy Petrick, who pitched for the Cubs. Corky Miller, who was with the Reds and for, I don't know, I think 12 years or so, and then me. And what we're doing is just having a 27 game schedule per team, just playing ourselves in that stadium only. And we got like 26, 27-man rosters, a lot of affiliated guys. I've got a guy named Dietrich Enns on my team who was a major league pitcher for the Twins a couple years ago. And he looked like a major league pitcher the other day for me. He threw 4 innings, and I think he only threw 45 pitches and struck out like 7 guys. So we got some pretty good players in the league. Anywhere from guys that were formerly in the big leagues is down to rookie ball guys, and they're just, the cool thing is they're all excited to play because this is a crazy year. I've never seen anything like it. There's only 5 rounds of the draft. College players didn't get to play. Independent players didn't get to play. Minor league guys didn't get to play. So, and a lot of them got released too. A lot of really high prospect guys that are on the 4 teams that are getting to play now. It's cool for me, and that's what all of us talk about. It's really not for us. We're there to try to help these guys, get them some playing time, give them a little bit of our experience as big leaguers and try to help them. And it's, for me, it's kind of neat to see if I can physically do it again. I threw like 600 pitches to BP the other day, and I was hanging after that. But, it's kind of fun for me to get back on the field too.
So you're saying that this is kind of a real league. I can't come up and say, hey, I got this knuckleball I've been working on for like the last 10 years. I want to try it out.
Yeah, no, I get a lot of people asking me about that. No, this is serious players. I mean, these guys can play and pitch. And it's been fun so far. We're only 2 or 3 games per team. I got rained out on Sunday. So we would have had 3 games in by now. But we're 2-0, so I won. I was happy to win my first game against my other Morris competitor here. Billy Petrick is from Morris too. He was like 6, 7, maybe 8 years younger than me. Yeah, probably maybe more than that, maybe 10 or 12 years. But yeah, he could still pitch. So it was good that I was hoping I'd get that first win against Billy because we're really good friends, and it was fun. Drafting our teams together and then getting to compete against each other. Now we face him again next Saturday, so it'll be a rematch. I think he's 2-1 right now, and I'm 2-0.
So are fans involved? Can fans show up for this, or is it COVID sort of MLB like? No.
Yeah. That's the cool thing about it is it's about a 5,000 seat stadium, real nice, all turf. Beautiful ballpark in downtown Joliet, and I think they're letting in 20%, so somewhere 2,000 or whatever. And so far we've got some pretty good turnouts. I don't think tickets are much, maybe $15 or something, but you're getting to see a good caliber team. Usually it's an independent team. Now we've got I think I've got 4 affiliated guys on my team, so. We're like Cirillo Watson, who was a U of I guy, Sean Leland, another U of I guy. Cirillo, he was drafted by the Dodgers, so the Dodgers are saying, okay, he can only have 35 pitches, and after that he's got to have 2 days rest. So there's certain guys, I've got a catcher, Nick Meyer for the Mets that, they're really pushing me to make sure he gets his at bats. So. I want to play everybody, but at the same time, I'm getting pressure from these affiliated teams. Alex McKenna with the Astros, and so it's hard to get guys at bats and also have the affiliated guys get as many as they can. So it's kind of it's a little bit like managing a big league team, but it's also probably a lot more fun too.
Yeah, I was going to say you probably have some managerial guys Hall of Fame guy Tony La Russa you could call. I want to talk about that a little bit, but let me just kind of run through some memories here a little bit, and we'll kind of maybe end with more about what the Joliet team is doing. So I know we always want to talk about 06, and I think it's crazy to me when I think about 06. You show up, and I didn't realize. I know that it was rough in Seattle, but you hit 064. I mean, that was not a good season. That was a rough year for you. You come here and everything works out. But I always think what's amazing to me is when there's a championship team, and in my lifetime here, there's been 3 of them. 82, you can name the backup catcher, Glenn Brummer, John Stuper. You can name all these guys. 85, 87, all the teams that went to the playoffs. There's always this bond of players that had, like, So Taguchi's a part of that 06 team, and everyone loves So Taguchi. Everyone loves you. What does that make you feel like when you know that you didn't play every day, but you did have a lot of at-bats, and you contributed huge? There was big hits, big moments down the stretch, that the Cardinal fans will always remember you for those moments, as they remember your dad, because he was a part of a championship team as well. It probably helps to know that you probably knew that because of your dad being part of one of those teams, that this would be something that you would have to live with the rest of your life with if you didn't want to, not even if you didn't want to one. I don't know what I'm trying to say, Scott. So,
I got you. No, I got you. Yeah, it feels. I mean, it's an incredible feeling. Being a part of the old when the Cardinals would bring my dad back for the 64, 67, and even 68 teams. Just the fans coming up and asking for his autograph and talking about those teams. It's just amazing. And seeing his old teammates, Bob Gibson, Lou Brock, Shannon, all those guys it was so neat to be a part of. So growing up, I always wanted to be, a World Series winner. So when I got to do it in 2002, it was incredible. But my dad had 2, so I always wanted that second one. To do the second one, to be able to, after a horrible year, have actually 2 pretty bad years in Seattle. Now I had some injuries, which ended up leading to some bad decisions. But I tried to play through them, and then I should have never done that. And then the next year, they really hardly ever played me. I think I only had 40-something at bats, but. So to be able to have that chance where the Cardinals gave me an opportunity as minor league invitee in 2006, and then giving my dad's number 26 was pretty amazing thing. And so as soon as they called me and said, "Hey, we're having you in, we're giving you a shot to make the team," I went out and dyed my soul patch red, and the rest was history. And I just, from day one, I thought we were going to win it. And to be a part of that team and a part of history, that's the one thing. It's like once that final out is made, once Wainwright strikes out, I think it was Inge, or once Ellster catches the ball off Kenny Lofton for the final out, it's something that nobody can ever take away from us as a team and us as a city and the fans and the organization. And it's so special. I wish everybody could feel that. But it's incredible. These guys that I was teammates with down there, Edmonds and Roland and Carpenter and just every one of them, you could pick up the phone at any time, and same with the Angels, and call them and they would be right there for you. It's more than a teammate. It's just like this bond that is forged in the fire of playoffs and World Series championship, atmosphere. It's incredible.
I think it's also, like, as a fan, which I always was a fan first, I love the teams, but that you've got a team that's really good. But when you start getting further away from them, you realize how great they were. And you mentioned the names of Carpenter and Roland and Edmonds and Pujols and Yachty. I mean, we've got 3 guys that potentially will be in the Hall of Fame. Two that I thought should have been. Jim Edmonds should not be off the ballot. It was just a fun team. Do you have like a couple favorite stories about that team? I mean, that team there was some fun going on with that team too, because you had a lot of young kids in the bullpen. You had a young Chris Duncan. I know Tyler Johnson and Chris Duncan were having lots of fun. I know you were having fun. I got to be part of it, see it from afar, but be close to it. Do you have any special memories from? I mean, I miss Chris Duncan so much. It's still just that happened. Josh Hancock was on the team, another guy that, yeah. But do you have any special memories that come up about people or moments? I remember Josh Kinney getting scared by Adam Wainwright, and on his first game up with Atlanta, Adam waited in his hotel room bathtub, and Josh Kinney walked in and he goes, "Holy shit, this room is huge!" And Wainwright jumped out. I just think those kind of stories are great.
Oh, it's great. There's a couple that pop out. David Eckstein. I got to win the championship with him in 2002 with the Angels, and then again in 2006. Well, he didn't like to spend money at all. So I think he had like I don't know. I always say it was like a 95 white Maxima car, because he didn't spend any money. So he just signed like a big 4-year deal or something. So I was just riding him the whole year, like, come on, man, just get a car. Let's go, like, get a new car. He's like, no. So when we went on the road, we'd park out at like the airport Hilton or something. And so we had a guy that would we'd give him the keys and he would, wash the cars or change the oil or whatever, while we were on the road trip. And so what I called him up and I said, hey, do me a favor, put some really crazy looking spinners on Eckstein's car. So when we went on the road, he did it. When we come back, the bus pulls up and he's got the spinners spinning on his 95 Maxima, and I'm videoing it going, tip my ride, X, tip my ride. And for 5 days, he had to have those because you had to take the tires, the wheels off to get them off. So for 5 days, he was riding those spinners to the park and home every night. It was hilarious. So when he won the MVP of the World Series, they gave him the yellow Corvette, and I remember him asking, "Hey, what are you going to do with that Corvette?" And he goes, "I know what I'm not doing. I'm letting Spiezio have the keys." So that was one hilarious story. But I also had a thing where every time we'd win, like with Anaheim when we clinched it during the regular season to win the wild card. We were in Texas. I picked them up and dunked them in the tank with all the champagne and everything, and then I'd jump in with them. So every time we'd win a series, the ALDS, the ALCS, and the World Series, I'd do it. So when we went to the Cardinals, as soon as we won, when the Braves beat Houston the last game of the season, we did the same thing and all the way through the World Series, and I told him, I said, hey, if we win, he never drank alcohol in his life. And I said, you got to do it one shot with me if we win it. He goes, if we win it, I'll do it. And to this day, it's the only alcohol he's ever drank. I don't know if that's a good thing I did for him or not, but, it was a special thing. And, like I said, just incredible memories with those guys. Hopefully someday I'll write a book and write all the things that I can remember down.
I'm mad about that because that was my first year traveling, like the full season with the team, and I just all of these things that I saw that were just little funny stories, like the Adam Wainwright one. I remember the first trip I took, Adam Wainwright sat behind me on the plane, and he's like, "Hey, you want a beer?" And I remember that just being funny that I'm like, oh, this might be like my initiation. Like, this is a rookie. I'm a rookie. We're both on the plane together. And now he's Adam Wainwright, and I'm still here in my basement doing podcasts. But, yeah, the book thing, I wish that's what is really bothersome is I didn't write all this stuff down because there was a lot of long nights. Yeah. And I don't remember some of the fun stuff. Although I remember being out with you a couple nights, you and Tony La Russa in Cincinnati, like, very oddly. It was fun. I had a good time.
Tony and I ended up in a lot of the same spots that year, the 2006 and 2007. I don't know if that's good or bad having two Italian guys, in the same spot. But I did learn a lot from him. He'd always, I'd ask him, hey, why'd you do this or why'd you do that? And he'd always tell me. He's an amazing guy.
I was going to say
I just saw him last November. Me and my dad went to a Major League Players Alumni Association banquet and got to spend some time with him. So it was pretty neat.
I've been doing a lot of former Cardinals over this COVID. Brian Jordan, Andy Bennis, just a bunch of former Cardinals, and we talk about Tony all the time. I'm fascinated by him. I really am. And the fact how loyal he is, once you're in his good graces or you're his guy, he is going to fight for you. And I think Cardinal fans didn't really know what to think of him. But I think by the time 04, 05, 06 came around and you started winning a lot and he was fighting with Dusty Baker, like he became our guy to go fight the Reds and the Cubs, and the Cardinals became loyal to him as he became loyal to the Cardinals. But I would just be curious, just the loyalty and the fact that you talked about. I mean, he kept bringing you back. I know that he knew you probably had some issues that you needed to fix, but he was still going to make sure that you got back to this team. Talk about Tony a little bit.
Oh yeah, he's got everybody's back. I mean, when I ended up having my problem in 2007, I really didn't know what I was dealing with, because I had never dealt with anything like that, addiction or anything like that. And so when news got out to the paper before, we could explain stuff, he was furious. I mean, he was really mad. And then when I came back after the short rehab stint, which looking back, I probably should have done longer. And I think it would have stuck because it was so early in my, in my addiction. But he was always behind me. Jockety was too. They'd ask me questions about it, because, they were just starting to learn about this stuff too. I think everybody was. It's a little bit different now. I would have handled it different, but they always had my back. And, I called Tony many times after that for years, and he'd always answer and always give me a little pep talk. And when I saw him last November, the first thing he said was, man, I'm so glad I played you in Game 2. I'm so glad. He goes, if it wasn't for that triple against the Brewers, and we wouldn't have made it. And if it wasn't for that triple in Game 2, and then the double, off Wagner later in that game, he goes, we probably wouldn't have won that series, and we would have never won the World Series. He goes, with your home run in Game 6 in 2002, and that triple and double, you're responsible for 2 World Series. You're directly responsible for 2 World Series. And I said, hey man, thanks a lot. I appreciate that. Not that I agree with that, but it was pretty neat that he remembers that and said that, to my dad. First, he was trying to hide from me. He was like acting like he was hiding from me, but he's an awesome dude. He's just incredible, and I think he's with the Angels now. So, having Joe Madden and him over there, boy, they might be a tough team to beat here soon.
I can see those two arguing a lot too about strategy and ideas, but I do think it'll be fun. Joe Madden is obviously a different cat. Did you get to see him around as a coach back in the day? Because he was a coach, right, with the Angels at that point.
Yeah, he was our bench coach with the Angels for 4 years, and he was one of my favorites too. Totally different personalities, but he really talked about jug runs and getting first to third and things like that. He had a different approach than like Mike Scioscia and Tony La Russa. I think they'll be a good pair together. But every time I call, once Joe came to the Cubs, I'd always call him for tickets, and I go, hey, you think you can get me 6 for tonight? And he'd be like, yeah, you paid for my daughter's wedding in 2002, so with the playoff share. So he's always been really good to me, and I'm excited that he's back there, and I'm excited Tony's with him.
Yeah, free tickets all the time. I was going to say.
Yeah, right.
You mentioned kind of the issues in 2007, and we talked about it the last time, and I thought you were really open and candid about it, so I was just curious how things are going. I know at that point, I think you were at 14, 16 months, something sober. Are we still kind of going well? Talk about that. I just think it was a really good conversation we had. I felt bad that it didn't sound right, but I thought you opened up and said a lot of stuff that people be interested to hear that things are really going well for you, and it took a long time. So how long has it been? And just talk about just this road to recovery.
Sure. Yeah. So it's boy, I think like 27 months that I've been totally sober. It's weird for me because I never had a problem with alcohol and never even saw a drug until I was like 33 and a half years old. And, I think what I started drinking after I blew out my T6 and T7 discs in spring training in 2004. And people were telling me I wasn't going to walk and wasn't going to, be able to play again. And I started getting depressed. I was with a new team. I didn't have, my core guys like, Eckstein and Garrett Anderson and Tim Salmon or, Orlando Palmero and all those, my Christian friends back in Anaheim. And, it happened in spring training. So I hadn't established a new group of friends yet. And I had nothing to do. So I started going out and trying to hang out, trying to, build friendships with them. And one thing led to another. I started drinking more. I ended up getting divorced and I got remarried, probably to not the best person that I should have been married to. Not saying anything against her, but it probably wasn't the best thing for me. And, later on, after I got released, I tried cocaine for my first time. And it wasn't really a problem in 2006, but I started it and I tried it in November 2005. And, I really didn't have a problem with it at all. And I did drink quite a bit after games and stuff, but, that was kind of the norm back then. And so I didn't, there was a lot of guys that were doing it. So I guess I was like fitting in. 2007, it started to become a problem. And, I didn't know, I was afraid to say anything. My relationship with my second wife started getting rocky. And, I don't know, I guess I was ashamed. I didn't know what to do. And finally I couldn't hide it anymore. And I told Walt Jockety and Tony and they said, well, let's get you help. And the way it came out wasn't the best way because, we were trying to not let it get out so that I could deal with it and it got out. We still don't know how. And, that ended up kind of hampering my rehab stint a little bit because everybody knew me in there. I think I came back too soon, but, I then, had the wreck in December 30th, 2007. And, I had went to rehab after that and felt good. But when it came out in spring training, I think, Zalak, he just thought, this is like the third strike against, we had Hancock incident, Tony got, pulled over in spring training and then that. And I didn't want to be a distraction. They didn't want a distraction. And I wish that we could have got through that because I think I would have been fine. Okay, you're still there.
I see you.
You still there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And, but I wish we could have got through that. I think I would have rebounded fine. But then once I was released, then I was I was in a bad place and my addiction started getting worse. Drinking started getting worse. I was going through a divorce. I kept battling though. I battled for a long time and, I ended up going to 11 rehabs and 10 years. And, finally, I just said, I've had enough. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Thank God I didn't get into this stuff until late, in my career. But had I not gotten into it, a lot of things would have been different. I would have been there for my kids more. I think I would have been able to play another 6-7 years, even because I was a switch hitter. I could pinch hit off the bench. I could play every position, and I was healthy and strong. But the hardest thing for me too was forgiving myself for that. I knew God forgave me, but just getting over the what ifs and stuff and just saying, you know what, hey, that's over now. Let's try to help other people, not make the same mistakes I did. Other players, other I've talked to a lot of college athletes, both men and women, and guys on my team. I've just been people around town here, high school kids, and I'm pretty open about it on social media, and I've gotten a lot of messages, asking, what should I do? How do I, how can I get help? Even from my hometown here, people that you'd never suspect. I know if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody, whether it be prescription or illegal or alcohol or gambling. And the biggest thing is to know that you're not alone and to, forgive yourself and just go try to get as much help as you can. And I had this philosophy where instead of feeling bad for myself and piling on, I said, move a muscle, change of thought. My whole thing was go out in the yard and pick up a stick and put it in a pile, pick up one stick and then the next day pick up two. And then before you know it, you got piles everywhere. And it was just, instead of sitting there and feeling sorry for myself, and, it wasn't always feeling sorry for myself, you end up doing it and you have a short little high, whether it's drinking or whatever, but then you always come down harder. And instead of that, I just had to get back to my natural self. And, now it's been, I think it's over 27 months since I had my last drink, and I feel better than ever. I'm back to myself again. My son always said, it's never too late. It's never too late. And I never gave up my whole life. And my whole message is don't give up, because things, when you're in the middle of it, an addiction, you feel like you can never climb out, but you can. And once you get out, it's an amazing life. And it's amazing how quickly you can get back to yourself and to help those around you and to rebuild those relationships that you had with your family, your kids, and your true friends. And that it's really good for me to be in my hometown now, because everybody just calls me Scott. I'm just Scott. I'm not the World Series champion. I'm none of that. I'm just a guy from Nettle Creek School, with its 70 kids, kindergarten through 8th grade. And, I just had we had a little, right before Father's Day, we had all my coaches from high school and grade school and even some teachers there. And it was just, a bunch of my old teammates from high school and grade school. And those are the people that really surrounded me with love. And it's just been amazing it's kind of like the prodigal son that's come home, and, they're really supportive. And that's what I tell other people, change people, places, and things. Get the bad apples away from you, go back to your roots, and really focus on being a good friend to other people. Try to get the focus off you and get it on other people and helping other people, and that'll help you in the long run.
That's so cool, and I did not know. I mean, I knew the last time we talked that took a long time for you. It's really amazing that I didn't know it was 11 rehabs. I knew it took a lot of years, but I'm so happy that it worked out for you. How hard is it to play like that in 07? I mean, because I remember there were times where I think you were at second base and got dizzy, and they said, "Oh, he's got signed." Like they had to come up with the reasons why. It was in Pittsburgh. I mean, in Milwaukee, I remember like you couldn't get into the game. And it was really kind of like, oh man, I hope he's okay. Like we didn't know. How hard was it to play with that kind of in the background, where you definitely want to continue your career, you want to do well, but you don't want to embarrass your team, you don't want to embarrass yourself.
Yeah, it's tough. It's not, it's not like you want to do it, but it's almost like you get addicted and you have to keep doing it, or else you feel even worse. And especially with playing every day. So, I was abusing my body, and mentally it was really hard. And I got sick a lot. Like I'd get infections, sick, horrible sore throat. So, it was, wreaking havoc on my body, and it was really hard. And like I said, I was afraid to say anything because I wanted to play, but looking back, I should have just been more honest right away and I think we would have cleared it up, but I kept trying to play with it. And, I mean, I'm really amazed that I was able to hit as well as I did that year. Even though, I wasn't in the right state of mind to be there, and playing. But, I guess it's just, I just had to go up there and just say, trust your hands, But there was a lot of times that it was very hard, and some of my teammates, knew it, Isringhausen, Carpenter, they look at me and just shake their head and they're like, I don't know how you do it, and I'm like, I don't know either, but it was just, I wish there was a lot of things I could take back, but I can't, and I just did what I thought was best at the time, but looking back, it wasn't, but, I'm still here, and hopefully people can learn from me, and if I had one piece of advice, is never try a drug ever. And with prescriptions, I never had a problem with prescriptions, but anything that's legal, marijuana, I guess now, prescription drugs and alcohol. If you're leaning on something and you're having to, you're feeling like you get home from work and you got to, drink, a case of beer or something at 5 o'clock, or, you need a shot by 3:30 in the afternoon, you might want to look into it a little bit and cut it back, because it can definitely change your life in a negative way. And I think a lot of people depend on it too much and rationalize it. I'm not trying to say don't go drink or don't go have fun with your friends, but when it becomes a problem, you really have to step back and say, you know what, maybe I should change my ways a little bit.
Well, what I will say is that people, I will think, will more remember as a Cardinal fan the triple against the Mets and the triple against the Brewers, and I think this is just one of those postscript things. So I think that's a good sign. And then the best thing is that you're recovered and things are going well. I think I do have to ask though. I mean, people love the tattoo you had. I'm assuming that had to go. How long did it take to get rid of the shoulder tattoo of the ex-wife? Or is it still there?
I mean, it's kind of almost all the way. I was finishing it, and then I just haven't had time to go finish it. But it's a cross now. Yeah, it didn't take that long. A couple sittings. I'll have one more, and it'll be totally gone. But it's been kind of halfway unfinished for like 6 years now, so I got to get it done. But yeah, I mean that was a part of my life. I guess. We had a decent relationship for 3 or 4 years, and I wish her the best, and I've moved on, and I'm sure she has too. But it was definitely a different time down there. It was a lot of fun. 2006 was something we'll never forget, and especially the teammates. That relationship came and went. It was a mistake, but the team that we had down there, that'll be around forever, Banners are always going to be hanging forever.
I hope you can laugh at this story, but I want to tell it because I don't know if you remember. One spring training, I believe it was 2007. It was not a good one for you. Maybe even 2008. We had asked you, hey, we want to do something off-site from the Jupiter campus. Let's go grocery shopping. And you and your wife said, hey, we're going to get a massage or mani-pedi or something. So we came along with you. You guys started your mani-pedi, and then you guys fell asleep. And we were waiting. We were trying to wrap it up. And this went on for hours. And at like 6 o'clock, me and Jim Hayes were like, I think we're just going to have to let it just sort of be to be continued. I don't know if you remember, but yeah, we never got an end. I don't think we ever got to show it because I think you were released, unfortunately, maybe a week later. But
no, yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, I bet you don't. But it was fun for us because we thought, can we eat dinner, or is he going to be mad that we left? So yes, I'm assuming that at that point you were having a good time, but better times now, I should say. But I always remember that story because it was so funny. People think this is such a fun business, but us waiting for Scott Spiezio and his wife to wake up from a manicure and pedicure for 3 hours outside of some Asian shop made us laugh hysterically, and we still talk about it.
I haven't had a manicure and a pedicure since I got divorced, so that was strictly her. Most likely that was probably in 2007, because 2008 when I came back, I was back. I was getting tested 3 times a week in spring training. So It was probably 2007. If it was 2008, then I don't know. I must have been tired or something. But
I just remember we kept looking to see if you guys woke up, and that never happened. And I just said, I think they're probably doing something fun in there. We should probably leave them alone.
Oh, I don't know. Yikes. Yeah, well, it's just clean.
Again, fun memories for me. But that's again from the you were one of those colorful characters from that team, and people, like I said, they remember the tattoo and the red, and you sort of embodied the spirit of that team. So it's always fun, like I said, to talk about that team. Sand Frog, I know, was a band way back in the day. Are you playing any music? Are you putting any albums out?
What stinks is we had written a whole album. We had been working on it for years, and had 10 songs on a CD. It's on Spotify. If you go on Spotify or Apple Music or anything, you can get it or listen to it. If you listen to a song on Spotify, I get like 0.0004 cents or something. So we had, so I tell people to play it while they're sleeping, so that way I can, add it up. But no, I mean, we were all set. We had memorabilia and swag and all that stuff, and we were talking about selling it at the stadium. With over 3 million people every year at that stadium, I'm sure we could have sold quite a bit. I pumped a lot of money into it. I don't know, 75 grand or maybe 100 grand to do it. And we went down to Atlanta, recorded it. We had some of the Seven Dust drummer, Morgan Rose was the producer. He played on a couple tracks. We had Rich Ward from Stuck Mojo play some guitar on it. Clint from Seven Dust, John from Seven Dust, playing a few tracks. And the guys from my hometown. And we were really looking forward to, maybe in 2008, releasing it, doing some shows on the road, maybe, one at, in Boston or something, if we had a day game, like Saturday day game or something, and playing it that night, doing it around the country. But, I ended up getting released, and from there we never really pushed it at all. That's a kind of a regret, because I think it's, if you listen to it today and you like that kind of music, it still stands up. I think there's a lot of people that, everybody that likes that music, that's listened to it, likes it. So anybody that likes, Disturbed, Seven Dust, Godsmack type stuff, and there's no cuss words in it. So, that's one thing I said, I'm not cussing on the album. And, it's a lot of message. There's a song on there called Save Yourself that, is about, God like reaching out to you and saying, hey, you're lying to me. I'm here. Can't you see? I'm here to save you. But, so I was kind of talking to myself. There's one called Dust It Off, making up for all my bad decisions. I'm dust it off. Believe what you're seeing. And so going into 2008, I was ready, to come over this and it didn't work out. I wish it would have been different, like I said. And then when I went to Atlanta, I didn't want to be in Atlanta. So, I just kind of blew up after that. But yeah, check it out. There's a song called Past Due. It's about running from your past and things like that. And there's some good lyrics and some good tunes on that. Tear from a Well is about my ex-wife. So,
every rock star has a song about their ex-wife. David covered it. I mean, everyone's got one, so don't worry about that.
Yeah. So, steal another tear from the well along the way. There's nothing left. I've given you everything. And that in more ways than one, that's true.
Oh, that woman's probably got a few dollars from you, I'm guessing, what you're saying.
Probably, yeah. There's a few of them. That's a regret. I never should have gotten divorced the first time. But the good thing is my first wife is doing great. We're friends. She's remarried to a great guy. I couldn't have picked a better guy for her to have around my children, and we're friends. And my kids are doing great, and so I get to see them quite a bit. We're all in this small town here. I'm a mile from my kids, I'm a mile from my parents, and about 3 miles from my parents' store. So, it's cool, you know.
Yeah, I complain about social media, Facebook, and I can't stand it, and I don't write anything. But it's good to always catch up with people like you and Brian Jordan, like see these guys at fantasy camp and then become friendly again, and we hadn't get a chance to talk, so that's how we connected again. I do this with the players that come on, or if anyone comes on, I open baseball cards. If you don't mind, I'm going to open a pack here of 91 Fleer, so it's a little before you, but maybe we'll get some teammates, and maybe we'll see someone you used to play with. You never know. They're hard to open though.
I've got the whole 91 Fleer. I collected from like 82 through about 93, I think. Like all packs.
They're harder to open than they look. All right, here we go. So you collected, you say. You were a collector of baseball cards.
Yes.
You still have them?
I collected. Yeah, well, my kids do now. Yeah, they've got them all. I think I had 100,000 or 200,000 cards. It was something crazy.
We've got Zane Smith. Lefty, Pirates. He was with the Braves. He was a little lefty through slow and beat the Cardinals a lot. Oh, here we go. I don't know if you played with him. Maybe. He was an Angel, but a Cardinal, Joe McGrain.
Oh, yeah. I think I can't remember if I think I hit against him. I'm not sure, though.
He was a White Sox, I think, in 96. Okay, he ended his career probably with the White Sox, but you may have crossed. He was an Angel for like 93, 94. Maybe saw him at spring training. I remember watching him, but I don't know. 96 is when I came up at the end of the season, so who knows? Maybe you face this. This is the all lefty pack here. We've got Jimmy Key. Oh yeah, Jimmy Key. Did you hit him at all? You remember hitting? Yeah, Jimmy Key. You remember hitting him at all, or? Oh yeah, I remember. Did he go to the Yankees at the end? Yeah, he was a Yankee for a while there. He was a tough lefty. He was a all-timer. There was a game against. We played against them, and he was throwing. It was like John Hirschbeck behind home plate, and he was throwing to Girardi, and everything was like a foot outside, and he kept calling strikes. And we told Girardi, you might as well stay in the dugout on the first base line because it's still a strike if he throws directly to you in the dugout. So that's what I remember about Jimmy Key. See, that's what we're looking for, stories. I think this guy may have been a coach on the Angels. We got Mickey Hatcher. Mickey Hatcher? Oh, yeah. So Hatcher was my hitting coach for the Angels for 4 years. And so before I got to the Cardinals, I had a full goatee. Now, with the Angels, I used to put red streaks on my hair, and then in my goatee, I had this red, but the rest was black. And so when I did it, I got really hot. And so, but I did, like with the Cardinals, I dyed it every day. With the Angels, I had somebody do it, and then it would fade out. So if I wasn't hitting good, he'd take a red Sharpie and color it in for me before I went to the plate. And it worked. And he was a nut. I remember he was a nut job type guy when he played for the Dodgers, but he was part of that 88 team that people love, and that's how I remember him, because he was on that team, and I think he did a home run in the World Series. He did. This is one of my favorites, and I'm so happy to see that we've got Andy Bennis again here. This is he was on this last. He was the last guy I think I interviewed, but we got Andy Bennis. I don't know if you knew him at all, but look how young that guy looks. Yeah. So Andy Bennis, his brother Alan Bennis was a prospect around here, and both of us went to the University of Illinois on a recruiting trip. I think he ended up going to Creighton instead, but so I got to know Alan pretty well. And one thing I remember about Andy Bennis, I think he made the All-Star team one time, and Harry Carey for some reason was talking about the All-Star lineup, and I just remember Harry Carey saying, and Andy Bennis from South Dakota. Not San Diego, but South Dakota. Good old Harry. I'll do it. I like doing it. Here's Andy Bennis from South Dakota. All right. I don't know if you remember Kevin Ellster here.
Oh, I remember Ellster. Yeah, was he shortstop?
Yeah, he was a Met for a while, and then I know he made it, I think, a Ranger maybe, but he played a long time.
Phillies or something. Yeah. I remember watching them.
These are ugly cards by this 91 Fleer. Yellow. Who went with yellow?
Not the greatest.
Okay, I don't. Sergio Valdez, I sort of remember, but I'm gonna guess this is just another reliever. Not.
I don't remember him.
We'll move on. Okay, here's a good one. This guy was tough. I think might have been an Angel. Kevin Apier. Did he become an Angel?
Apier. Oh yeah, I played with Apier with Oakland. When he was with Oakland, he was with me. Or wait, no. Yeah, he was with me with Oakland, and then when I went to the Angels, I remember I hit 2 home runs off him, like one of the first games that I went back to play in Oakland. And I was mad because I was pissed that they let me go. Thank God they did, though, because, it was way better going to the Angels and winning the World Series. But, then he came to the Angels, and he actually was on our 2002. I think he was our number 2 pitcher.
Looks like he's really giving it all right here, though, huh? He's really into that windup.
Yeah, he was a different breed, man. I remember we were up 5-0. I think going into the second inning in game like 2 of the World Series. I think it was game 2, if I remember right. And we were walking Bonds all the time, and we were up 5-0, and Bonds was leading off the inning because he was the 4th hitter. And Sosa said, "Hey, just go after him." Well, he walked him, like on 4 pitches. He was scared of him. And Bonds gets to first base, and he's like, "Man, they still walking me." I'm like, "Well, actually, no." Sosa said, you should throw to him." And he goes, "He can't throw to me. He throws over the plate, it's gone." So I'm like, "Wow, that guy's confident." But he's right. Everything we threw him over the plate, he hit, and not only hit, but hit about 500 feet.
Well, I think the one off of Percival is like memorable. It was like a shooting star. This is into the night. It was beautiful. I don't know if Troy loved it, but it was a beautiful shot for.
No, he didn't mind it. He said, "I'm going to challenge him." We still had a run, so we had 2. He had a 2-run lead, and he just went after him. It was fun to watch.
It's a St. Louisan or a South Dakotan. This is Scott Cooper, former Red Sox.
Oh yeah, I remember him. Yeah,
he was a good hitter. I think he was a batting. I don't think he was a batting. I was going to say a batting title winner, but no.
Yeah, he was a good hitter. I remember that.
Curtis Wilkerson comes up all the time. Just a Cub, just a little guy.
Yeah, I remember watching him play.
We got Cardinal here. Todd Worrell, fireman, closer. I think he was out of the league by the time you were in. Great mustache there on the back, though. Fu Manchuing it. Still.
With his brother, Tim Worrell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he played with him in Oakland, and then we faced him in the World Series. He was with the Giants. His brother and I used to have fun. I remember in Cleveland, we'd go to I don't know if it was a Dave and Buster's or ESPN Zone or something like that. And we'd be super competitive playing, Papa Shot and, all those games in the arcade, but it was a lot of fun.
Last one, and I was going to ask about this. I know he was a teammate, and I was shocked by this when I did my research. 1997, teammate of yours, one of the Bash brothers. What was that like playing with? And in '97, you had McGwire and you had Canseco on the same team. Canseco obviously was back from the Texas Rangers and Red Sox in his last year, I think. What was that like playing with those guys?
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, it was different. I don't think they were as close as they were earlier in their career.
It went a little sideways after that, I think, too.
Yeah. It was neat. We were hoping that they'd start doing the Bass Brothers stuff again, but they never did the 4-on bashes and stuff. But I was pretty close to McGwire and Giambi. McGwire always kind of took me under his wing, but he always was messing with me. And Giambi was, I think, only a year older than me, so him and I were pretty good buddies too. The Canseco was just he was kind of a different breed, but he was hilarious. He'd do a lot of funny stuff, you know. And then actually, I think somewhere with the Angels one year, he was in spring training with us, and I remember him saying that he could still run like a 4.3 down the first or whatever, and I was like, okay, I think I can beat you. He's like, you want to race? And we raced from the foul line, and he pulled his hamstring, and then he pulled it so bad they cut him in spring training. So that was the last. I don't know if he ever played again after that, but he always had some kind of business proposition too. Like he was going to start a financial management company, or he was something. I'm still friends with him on Facebook. I haven't talked to him in a while though. We were trying to get him to see if he'd play in our league, for fun, but he said he needed so much money per game and paid in cash before the game started. So, we couldn't do it, but it would have been fun.
There's probably a 30 for 30 in that guy, because that's funny. I remember back when he was huge in the 80s, late 80s, he had his own hotline. You could call it, and he would talk about what he did that night. Hey, yeah, there's Jose. I'm in Minnesota. Boy, there's no bars here open after 1. It was hilarious to me. I didn't call it. I'm not.
Oh my God!
But it did. That's what they played on the thing. Scott, that's all the baseball cards I have. I think I've gone way too long. I apologize, but I appreciate the time. I know you got a big game tonight. Anything you want to mention? I know your dad was you and him were gonna have a special bobblehead that they were gonna give away at the Cardinal game. It sucks that we can't go to the games this year. Maybe next year we'll see you here at Busch. But anything you want to talk about your team and how to get tickets, and let people know that they can still watch baseball in person if they're in the St. Louis area and they want to drive up to Joliet.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the mood to see some good baseball, some live baseball, if you just go to Joliet Slammers website, call them direct or buy online. I think they're $15 a piece. Joliet, Illinois, it's right downtown. We're playing through September 6th is the last game, so it should be fun. Yeah, the bobblehead was supposed to be, I think, this June 14th or something like that. I don't know how many they were. I don't know if they're selling them, if there was 1,000, 10,000. I'm not sure. I was trying to ask Larry State that question before we got on to see if I could have it for everybody. But I posted about it, and now everybody from my hometown and my family's like, I want one. So it should be fun. It's kind of a neat thing. Being the only father-son to win win a World Series with the same organization. I'm pretty sure we're the only one with 2 apiece too. So. For both of us to have that bobblehead with, both of us wearing 26 for the Cardinals, with 11 championships under the organization's belt is pretty special, So other than that, I was thinking about having a Soul Patch podcast where I did a pilot podcast with a doctor and a therapist. He also owns a rehab center in West Palm Beach, Florida. And, we might go ahead with that. It looked pretty good. We're fine-tuning it, but it's just where, I would talk to ex-teammates or ex-baseball players that had problems. Like Jason Grimsley was the guy that was going to be on it. And, maybe a guy like Dave Mustaine from Megadeth or Clint Lowry from Seven Dust or, other Duff McKeon from Guns N' Roses. There's a lot of players and musicians I know that struggle with that, and also like maybe my dad was going to be on it and talk about family. He's never dealt. My parents were never drinkers or anything like that, and so for them to go through it and kind of get blindsided by it because. I was never a drinker, and then all of a sudden, late in my career, in life, it happened. So it was going to be, it's going to be something like that. I don't know exactly what format we're going to have it in, but I'll let you know if we end up doing it here soon. I'll give you a heads up on it.
We'll promote it, and again, everyone has a podcast now, so congrats. It's like
Well, we'll see.
it's like public access, I always say. And this rock and roll thing, that's a super group of people right there. I did not know you had such a great Rolodex of rock and roll people. Maybe the next time we chat here in a couple months, maybe next year, we talk rock and roll, because I'm a huge rock and roll fan. I had no idea you knew Dave Mustaine and Duff McKagan. I mean, right there, that's a super group.
Yeah, Zach Wild. I mean, there's from REO Speedwagon to Avenged Sevenfold.
Wait, if you know Kevin Cronin, we're going to have a problem. Are you friends with Kevin Cronin?
Oh, yeah. I got up and sang with him. I was up there singing Keep On Rolling. It was actually in 2007, right after I got out of rehab. I was up on stage down there. It used to be called like the Tweeter Center or something like that. And I'm like, they're like, get up and start singing. I'm like, which song? They go, just sing Keep On Rolling. I'm like, all right. So
it does get very easy at the end. Just keep on rolling. I remember it was the mid-'90s, before I even knew they were from kind of Urbana, Champaign, that there was 4 guys walking around Busch Stadium with long hair, and then it got out, oh, REO Speedwagon's here. I'm like, makes sense. That's got to be them. But that's very cool. Well, you have some stories. You need a book.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I was backstage to a lot of stuff. Korn and, I mean, Aerosmith and...
Oh, tell me an Aerosmith story. Let's end on an Aerosmith story. That's one of my favorite. Them and Foo Fighters.
I don't really have any great ones with them, but they had me set up where it was in Boston with Kid Rock. Kid Rock was opening for them. So it was amazing. And then, of course, we had, we got Steven Tyler to come in and sing God Bless America for the Cardinals, But, I mean, there's great Kid Rock. I saw him backstage in Chicago like in it would have been January in 2000. That's where I met Seven Dust. Metallica was there. We were drinking and stuff then, but I would drink a little bit, but it was more like here and there, But I remember going out with David Wells and Lars Ulrich from Metallica during spring training in 2005, and we were out a little bit too long. I think we didn't get back till like 6 a.m, and I showed up at spring training. I think he was with the Padres at the time. I was with the Mariners, and we shared a complex, and David Wells didn't show up that day. So, but there was some fun times. There was a lot of guys. Zach Wild, who played with Ozzy. He had some issues, and now he's putting this over and has been for a long time. And the Seven Dust guys, I've been friends with them, big friends with them, especially Morgan. I've seen those guys probably 50 times. And been in the studio with them when they recorded their own albums. Micah Nez from Alice in Chains. Played Johnny Tempesta from
okay, enough names dropped, Scott. We got it. This is amazing. I did not realize you had all those Those are great stories. I remember the Steven Tyler one's funny. Is a buddy of mine. We went to that game that he sang at Busch Stadium in the 7th inning or whatever it was. And before that happened, my buddy went to the bathroom. He goes, there's a guy who looks like Steven Tyler taking a piss in the bathroom. And this is before he came out. And so he comes out to do his thing. He was like, holy, that was Steven Tyler. And I guess Steven Tyler's just walking around the ballpark before that happened. So that's pretty funny to me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, after the 2002 World Series, I had my band out there for the whole playoffs. And I had like 45 people. It cost me like $50,000 to have everybody out there, with tickets and hotels and flights and stuff. And we were supposed to, they wanted us to play the Best Damn Sports Show, period. And my band's like, we got to go back to work. So I was scrambling, and I got Slash. My buddy Scott Uchida, who worked for Dunlap Manufacturing, pedal company, picks, all that stuff, knew all these musicians. And he's the one that really introduced me to everyone. And so he got Duff and Slash and Matt Sorum as my guitar, my bass and drums, and then at the last second, like Scott Weiland started coming in the picture, and they started Velvet Revolver. And so then I was like, man, we're supposed to play in 2 days on the show, and I got to teach him one of my songs, which is cool. So he ended up getting Mike Inez, Johnny Tempesta, and Zach Wilde to be my backup group. All bands I love too, like Zombie, Alice in Chains, and of course Ozzy, and then Zach also has Black Label Society. But they got together. We got together. I got a place to rehearse for one night. We played my song like twice, and all we did the other times was play other songs from Alice in Chains, and I was trying to sing with them, and I've got it on video somewhere. But we got to the thing the next day, and it was Jim Miller. Yeah, what's the guy's name? Jim Rome. So we were at Fox, and I got these guys. We barely know my song, which I wrote like under the sheets, in Seattle one day, trying to sing and play guitar. I didn't want to wake up, people in the hotel room next to me. And we get there, and Jim Rome is on his last show, and we're there at 10 in the morning, and Zach's drinking his sarsaparillas, is what he called them, his beer that early. At that time I wasn't, but he's blaring. He's got 6 Marshall half stacks. We got 4 Ampeg 8x12 amps blaring, and Jim Rome is yelling, "Tell him to shut up! I'm trying to tape my last show, before he moved networks." And Zach Wilde's yelling on there, "Tell him to call me Chris. Tell him to call me Chris. I'll beat your blank and blank." And we recorded it. Those guys were killing it. Zach didn't really know the words to the part of the song, and I only had 2 or 3 wedges in front of me. I couldn't hear a thing. I'm like trying to see if I'm on key, and it's on YouTube. If you look it up, it's I don't sound that great, but it's pretty neat to have guys that you worship as far as musicians play one of your songs that you wrote, and have it last forever on YouTube now. So yeah, look it up. It's Scott Spiezio, Zach Wilde, Mike Inez on the Best Damn Sports Show.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like I said, now we're going to be talking music the next time, I think, more than anything else. Like I said all the time, and it's just great to see that things are going well for you, and good to see that you're back with your family and up in Illinois and just kind of living life again. It's awesome. So Scott, appreciate you joining. This is Here's the Pitch, and it's sponsored by Masters Restaurants, 5 locations, stlmasters.com. That'll do it. We'll see you next time.